Hello, good morning and welcome. This is Sunrise Daily on a Thursday morning. Yeah, I'm Akeregha.
Well, it's a beautiful Thursday morning here in Lagos, Nigeria. You're welcome. I'm Akeregha.
Good morning from Abuja. It's a beautiful day here in the capital city. I'm Maokbe Ogun-Yusuf. And we're starting right here where we have a guest to go through the papers with us this morning. He is Akeregha, who is the bureau chief of this Nigeria newspaper. You're welcome to Sunrise Daily this morning.
Good morning, Maokbe.
It's a
beautiful
Hamilton morning right here in the federal capital city. And you see people wearing jackets.
Yeah. It's getting really cold now.
It is. It's that time of the year again. And thankfully, climate change hasn't taken away our cold.
Exactly.
Well, let's see. What paper do we start with this morning? Let's start with Vanguard newspapers. It has this: banditry. Sokoto confirms 23 deaths in travelers' attack. A very disturbing one. Buhari Senate autumn mourn. This is the lead story on the front page of the Vanguard. We've been seeing banditry going on for a while now in parts of the Northwest. In recent times, we heard that they've now been, a few of the groups have now been designated terrorists. We do not know if that will be a blanket cover for all the bandits who are operating along that axis or in that particular area, and whether or not, because some people are saying that they should extend it to kidnappers as well. What are your thoughts, especially looking at the fact that now 23 deaths have now been confirmed in a traveler's attack?
I think this is where the media has a role. If you read that court judgment, I read it. The judge was very clear that kidnapping, raping of women, forced abduction on the highways of passengers, and then mentioned two particular groups, I think related to the Fulanis and all that. You know, I don't like stereotyping people, but that is the court judgment. And that all those groups and similar groups carrying out similar activities are to be known and designated as terrorists. So the media will help to expand and enunciate these issues. Henceforth, instead of calling them bandits, I would like to see the headlines reading terrorists. You know, terrorists abduct, kill, burn people in Sokoto. That way, even though themselves will know that the game has changed. That is what the court has said, and that is the law. Except it changes, maybe a superior court overturns or redefine that court judgment. That is the position for now. Because what else is terrorism when you take people who are moving about their normal activities, you kill them, set them on fire? I mean, that's terrorism, of course.
It was a very, very dastardly
Yeah, it's horrendous.
On travelers.
Very horrendous. Even children were crashing beneath their mothers, and if you look at the shared remains of the videos and things, you should. These individuals perpetrating these heinous crimes are not humans at all. It's really pathetic. And I think the government must have to go all out for them, all out. The highways must be occupied by security forces. There must be 24 hours of patrol. And don't forget, we are pushing the Yuletide season. So I do not know how Nigerians are going to travel with even the trains being targeted. Airlines, they have increased their fares. So it's going to be, I just hope that the government will be able to find a way around these issues. Otherwise, it's harrowing for most Nigerians at this point.
Well, indeed. I mean, that's why they're government. They beg to do the work.
Yes.
Well, look at this one. Electricity. Federal government backs UBA's takeover of Abuja Disco. You and I live in the Federal Capital Territory, and we saw this particular story. Workers of AEDC threatening to go on strike, eventually carrying it out. I think some parts of the FCT witnessed some outage, but by evening of that same day, thankfully, electricity was restored in many parts of the Federal Capital Territory. So, and we heard then later on that the president had sacked the management of AEDC, and people were wondering, how is that possible? Isn't it supposed to be a private enterprise? Now we hear UBA has taken over Abuja Disco.
Yes, I think if you look at the power sector, since its privatization, it has been very turbulent. Akeregha Electricity Distribution Company, Abuja Electricity Distribution Company, and from the south side, if you look at the BEDC, that is even very worse. There's no power at all. From Edo State down to the south side, that is the hub of oil and gas production, you can hardly find power supplied. So for that of the nation's capital, I mean, it's worrying. When I first saw the story that breaking, I was saying, oh, the nation's capital is also having the power issues. Where I live, the power is a bit stable there, but in other places, if I have to visit colleagues and friends, you just find that their homes are in darkness. And that is the nation's capital. So I think there's something wrong with the privatization process. International investors who had the resources at the time to invest, there were all kinds of conjectures that there were all kinds of undercurrents that they didn't get the license and the bid. They didn't win the bid. So we had Nigerians who also had deep pockets that were able to win the bids, and look at where we found ourselves. So for AEDC, they picked up this huge loan from UBA, and so it's becoming difficult to also liquidate the loan. And the workers of AEDC are suffering. They are paid pittances. So there is poor management of the AEDC in the nation's capital. So I'm not surprised when the president came up with that position that he was sacking. But like rightly observed, does the president have the power to sack the management of a private company? It's no longer National Electric Power Authority, NEPA, or whatever. It is now privatized. It has been unbundled. But now that the UBA is coming up, that must be the terms of the agreement that AEDC management had with the banks. So if they are unable to liquidate the funds, the loans, after so many years, well, perhaps the bank is moving on to invoke a retrieval clause in that agreement to take over the operations of AEDC. Perhaps that will also, we don't know whether that will translate to effective power distribution within the nation's capital.
Well,
so wait and see. It's a breaking story.
Okay, well, I'm just going to do one more story. There's so many to choose from on the front page of the Vanguard this morning. I'll read out two, and then you can decide which one you want to, speak to. Or let me say three. You're a Lone Ranger. Outgoing PDP deputy national officers blast secondus. That's on the front page. Bad loans weigh down construction sector. That's from the CBN, very related to what you just discussed. And jailbreaks. We're making correctional centers impregnable. That's from the federal government. You have the choice. Which one do you want to comment?
That of jailbreak, it directly affects all of us.
Indeed.
It touches on insecurity across the country. The federal government is saying that the operating word there is, we will make jailbreak, the correctional centers impregnable. Why not do it? 6 years on, we are still talking about we will or they will. I would have thought that at this point, this is not the first time we have the Owerri jailbreak, we have that of Jos. We are having them all over the country, and the one in Oyo State. And you are still talking about we will. I would have thought by now, government would have put in measures to effectively secure the correctional centers. If anyone has ever visited any of the correctional centers, these are very old facilities. Some were even bequeathed to us by the colonial masters. They were not reconfigured, redesigned, And you see urbanization has also moved very close to the correctional centers. You can see houses around the correctional centers. So it becomes very easy to spy, to compromise and breach the security around those facilities. So I'm not surprised if the government at this point is saying that they will fortify, but I just hope that they have to go ahead very quickly and even build new ones that are far-flung, well-built, that meets international standards.
We also had the minister saying that, he's not going to resign over the jailbreak, so that was also in the news yesterday.
Yeah, interesting. Nobody resigns in Nigeria. We are used to that.
Let's leave it there for the Vanguard newspapers. Over and out to you, gentlemen.
Well, let's turn our attention to the Nigerian Tribune, and the lead story is on the finance bill. Some call it the side dish to the appropriation bill. And so the big one, no tin, no bank account. As Buhari gets tough on tax laws, bill scales first, second reading in Senate. In case you're wondering what's tin, it's a tax identification number. And we know this was the case, I think, for businesses, corporate accounts. But now, it looks like this will be for individual accounts. So, Mr. Akeregha, I know people have spoken about widening the tax nets, how we can do better with taxes. Is this a way to go for you?
Well, the law itself is not bad. It is good. But my worry is, are Nigerians prepared for this? If you say that Nigerians should be, TIN is tax identification number. That will mean that every account holder will then have to subscribe to the tax, will be brought into the tax net. And Nigerians are already impoverished. Impoverished. We all know that Nigeria has become the poverty capital of the world. So I would have thought that the government will take some immediate steps to address the issues of poverty. Yes, it is a good law, bringing more money for government to spend, but even the monies that government has so far, have these monies been spent transparently? Have we seen infrastructure on the ground? Do Nigerians have access to good public health facilities, water, good roads, security? So these are the issues. If you want, these are IMF and the Bretton Woods pre-conditionalities for countries. I do not think that Nigeria should swallow everything that the IMF suggests, hook, line, and sinker. Nigerians are very poor now. There is dearth of employment. The employment gap is widening. The last time I checked, it's approaching 30%, 32% of unemployment, and that is massive. That's huge. So I would think that the government should address all of that before we think of further taxing Nigerians. Already we have the stamp duty. We have Nigerians also paying for bank deposits, withdrawals, electricity charges. Now we are also hearing that by next year we'll pay more for pump price, about 320 naira per litre. So all of these are taking monies away from the pocket of Nigerians, and we do not. The jobs are not there. The capacity, the spending capacity of Nigeria is being limited. So these are areas that the government should also focus on if they want to push ahead with this policy.
So let me just quickly get your thoughts on this other story. It's just right on top of the big one. And it's from the CJN saying, "Stop embarrassing judicial officers. CJN warns security operatives." And I mean, a case in point for a lot of people is the incident that concerned Justice Mary Odili's home. So does this sound like a confirmation that this was indeed by security operatives, or this is a general term? And he goes on to say, "Arrest search warrants now to be approved by chief judges," he says, swears in 72 new SANs. It's a page 4 read. So I wonder what you make of that statement. Stop embarrassing judicial officers. CJN warns security operatives.
Well, the CJN, for those of us in the media, we have been waiting for the CJN reaction for long. He spoke yesterday at the conferment of SANS on some selected senior lawyers yesterday. But why would the CJN wait for this long to say that they will no longer tolerate excesses of security forces who invade the homes of judicial officers? I would have thought that the CJN would have made this statement long ago. But again, I must also quickly add here this morning that the climate of impunity, the reign of impunity in Nigeria is worrisome. And now the invasion of Mary Odili's home is already going cold. By now, Nigerians expect that people should be in the dock. People would have been arraigned. People are facing charges. Investigation does not take too long. The faces of those who were there are known. Those who sent them are known. Are we saying that these individuals are too powerful to be brought to justice? I think this is part of the problem in the country. We must, justice is not only for the poor. It should be for everyone. It should be across board. So the CJN can also get across to Mr. President and insist that all those individuals should now be formally arraigned. Look at the case of Wadume in Taraba State, the notorious kidnapper who killed policemen and all that. That case is also going cold. Several others across the country. And that is why you see the daring effrontery, the boldness by criminals, to get into the highway, get into homes, invade homes, kidnap people, kill them, because they know that the punishment system is weak. The institutional resistance and punishment is weak. So I think we need to do more as a people, and the government has this responsibility, actually.
The Daily Independent is next on our lineup this morning. And it leads with that same story. Invasion of Justice Odili's home will resist future attacks on the judiciary. It's ascribed to the CGN, of course. One security operatives says enough is enough. That's the lead of the paper this morning. But right under the picture you see on the front page, stop relinquishing your duty to states. Wike slams FG. Well, I wonder what you make of this. He was speaking at the launch of the Armed Forces emblem in Port Harcourt. What's your take?
Yes, I'm wearing the Armed Forces emblem myself this morning. Mark is also wearing. I can't see you guys well, but I think I agree with Wiki. If you look at, I drive across the country a lot, and when we talk about infrastructures, there's really not much happening, even though the country has taken so much loans. If you go to Rivers State, for the governor of Rivers State, he can be talking because he has been able to transform that state almost to a construction site. Borno State Governor Zulum, Professor Zulum is also doing that. A couple of the governors in Delta State, Governor Ifeanyi Okowa is also doing. A lot of the governors are working. And if you look at the kind of work that they do, most of the infrastructure that the governors are building are actually on the exclusive legislative list, which is within the purview and powers of the federal government to deliver on those projects. But, well, federal government agencies may have gone to sleep. The Federal Ministry of Works, Federal Ministry of Housing, Federal Ministry of Water Resources, just name them. Nigerians can't see what is happening in these ministries. The deliverables are just not there. We are not seeing the evidence on ground. So Wike is on spot this morning to, it's a wake-up call. What he's saying is it resonates with many Nigerians that the federal government appears to be shirking its responsibilities to the states. And of course, you know too that the federal government takes the bulk of the revenue. Each time they have to share money, the federal government takes the bulk. So to whom much is given, I agree this morning, much is also expected.
Well, I guess we will have to wait for the ministries that you have mentioned to respond to what you've said. But right on that story, on the red strip, at the bottom of the page, one of the stories there, Dowen, Romani's killing won't be swept under carpet. That's the president making that promise. The story is on page 2. What's your take on the speed of work on that investigation so far?
Yes, I read the statement yesterday by presidential spokesman Garba Shehu. Yes, he's on spot too. The federal government weigh in at this time, even though the crime allegedly committed is within the jurisdiction of Lagos State, and the state government has taken the right steps. The Dowen College has been closed down. Some of the pupils, some of the students involved have been arrested by the police. Investigation is ongoing. My only worry with Nigerian investigation is that we are too slow. We try to waste so much time that after a while, maybe with the hope that the will of justice will then go cold and then the matters can be swept under the carpet. So the federal government is reiterating that fact this morning that this particular matter and issue will never be swept under the carpet. I would also expect that even the teachers and those who issue statements claiming that Sylvester Oromoni fell down, he had a hip injury, and that was what was responsible for his death. Those individuals should be arrested too, because as it is, they were accessories and accomplices to the murder of that innocent Nigerian. Very promising, you know. So the federal government is on spot, yes. Beyond the rhetoric, Nigerians also want to see action. People should be arrested, people should be brought into the loop, should be made to face justice. We know that those behind the Dowen College are highly placed Nigerians. Yes. The law is for everyone. It's not selective. That is why you see the judicial emblem. It's that of a woman with a piece of cloth tied across her eyes. The law does not recognize, does not see class differences. It goes for anyone that has breached the law, that is an offender. So Nigerians are actually waiting. This week, next week, this matter should be coming to a close. People should be put on trial speedily and then convicted where necessary. It's very important.
Well, a very weighty copy of the Guardian is what I'm holding this morning. You have this: Omicron. Airline tour operators lament losses as Saudi Arabia cancels Hajj. WHO Omicron reported in 57 countries, hospitalizations to rise. Different, tougher variant of Omicron spotted in South Africa, Australia, and Canada. So that's the lead story on the front page of The Guardian. We still haven't gotten out of COVID. Just when we thought, okay, it was going down, there was Delta variant, there was a second wave with Delta variant, and then now I think they say we're in the fourth wave with Omicron around. We thought it was light, I beg your pardon, was giving mild symptoms. So we see now different, tougher variants of Omicron spotted in South Africa, Australia, and Canada. What do we make of this Omicron?
Well, the story this morning on The Guardian puts paid to the decision by the UK, Canada, and some of the developed countries to slam Nigeria with travel ban. Now it is clearly a global challenge. It's no longer a case of one country trying to shut its borders against the other. And in any case, if you look at the mutating variant of the disease itself,
COVID.
Yeah, COVID, yes. For those of us that have taken the jab, yesterday I was having a conversation with some friends, and I said, we've taken the jab, so are we now, the World Health Organization is also talking about a booster jab. After the booster jab, are we going to have another one for the Omicron? And now we are having other variants coming out of South Africa. It doesn't appear as if we are seeing the end of this so soon, even when some countries say that Nigeria is saying that by next year, they are hoping that they would have taken care of COVID completely and then possibly wiped out the disease, the epidemic in Nigeria. We are very good at rhetorics. I still don't see, even if you hit the streets in Nigeria, even the nation's capital, people are going about as if they are not aware of Omicron or anything. People do not wear nose masks. I think people are just tired. For developing countries in Africa, the major problem for them is not even this COVID anymore, it's poverty, it's hunger, it is the quality of life of even Africans themselves, to the extent that many are willing to take the risk across the Mediterranean. So when you tell them about COVID and Omicron, these ones look like far-flung semantics to them. So we need to rev up the campaign, the advocacy, the consciousness, so that Nigerians will know that this new variant is there, it's life-threatening, it poses a danger, and for people to also have an increased consciousness to maintain social distancing and all the other issues associated. So that is it, but that is really not of serious concern to Nigerians. And the politicians are talking about 2023. I have not seen Nigerian politicians putting Omicron on the front burner.
Well, at least with the UK ban, maybe we will take things a bit more seriously. And also, you know, the Minister of Health put out a statement yesterday with regards to the 1 million vaccine doses which were said to have expired. They say they've been withdrawn and that they've been given to NAFDAC to destroy. So we'll wait and see, you know, just what will come out of it, because we're looking now at local vaccine production. It says that's what we're pursuing aggressively. So perhaps, who knows, maybe we're still on target to be able to achieve our dream of being able to eradicate the pandemic or the epidemic in Nigeria, as the case might be.
I think many Nigerians have also by themselves found a local way to deal with the issue. Yes, that is not proven by the WHO. We have local health. People put some in all kinds of water, gin to drink, and then we're able to steam ourselves. I do that also, even though I've taken the 2 jabs. I do that a lot, and that has proven very effective. Each time I feel uncomfortable sign, I just pick the pawpaw, mango leaves, some of these lemon and all that, put them together, and it has proven very effective. So whether it is there are variants or not, I think more Nigerians should resort to local use of our herbs, natural resources. We have them around us. We could use them, and it has proven a bit quite effective. While we wait for, excuse me, while we wait for a much more acceptable global response to this, because we are seeing it's mutating, it keeps changing. True. It's like Amoeba in those days when we studied
Amoeba that doesn't have shape.
A definite shape, it's just a changing shape. So that's where we are. We just hope that the world will be able to overcome this. Europe is shutting down again gradually. The spaces are coming up again. I was watching a football match yesterday, and I saw that the stadiums again have gone empty. And so it means that there's an increasing global concern about the impact of this. But whether it has a devastating effect, the mortality rate is severe as COVID when it first broke. I think we are yet to determine that. Yes.
Well, we have to thank you so much for coming on this morning. Thank you for sharing your thoughts with us. Akeregha is the Bureau Chief, Abuja Bureau Chief of this Nigeria newspaper. Thank you for coming on this morning.
Thank you so much. It's always a pleasure to be here.
We'll take a break at this point. We'll be back shortly to sink our teeth into the matters for the day. Please stay with us.